place where the Gladiator movies was created by Americans.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Harbour, the largest harbour in Malta and one of the biggest natural harbours in the Mediterranean. It is 3 kilometers deep and has a coastline of 15 kilometers. Maximum depth of water is about 30 meters. It has been used as a harbour since at least Phoenician times, about 800 BC. The knights arrived in Malta in 1530. The first Grand Master to enter this harbour was Lil Adam, who came on board the Carrack Santa Ana. In times, this harbour has been massively fortified and developed with extensive docks and wharves. The fortifications of the Grand Harbour are mainly created by the Knights of St. John, although during the British period, many modifications were carried out. At sea level, you can see a concrete jetty, originally the boom defense. During World War II, the entrance to the Grand Harbour was defended by a giant anti-submarine net, crossing from this jetty to the breakwater on our left, so it could stop enemy submarines entering the harbour. This could be lowered to allow the passage of the British Navy ships and merchantmen. Above the bastions, you can see the long building with the green doors, originally the Hospital of the Order of St. John, better referred to as the Sacra Infermeria. It was built in 1574 and could accommodate 2,000 patients in times of emergency.
Wow.
Today, it houses the Malta Experience, where one can see an audiovisual show about the 7,000 years of man presence on Malta. There is also a permanent exhibition about the Knights Hospitallers on the medical history of the order. Further is the Siege Bell Monument, erected in 1992 to commemorate the George Cross. King George VI of Britain awarded this honour to the Maltese population in April 1942 for their courage and bravery during World War II. Every day at 12 p.m., the bell is rung. Immediately office behind the bell is the Lower Baracca Garden. Here one will find a monument of the Great Siege of Malta and another to Sir Alexander Boring, a British admiral and the first British governor of Malta from 1800 to 1810. In 1800, the British Navy, together with the help of the Maltese population, made an end to the French occupation of the island, which had started in June 1798.
Alafu unaweza kaanza ingine.
The building at sea level is the fish market. Early in the mornings, one will see busy activities here, when fish is being brought for sale by local fishermen. There are many storehouses in the vicinity, most of them built by the knights. Once again, we are passing by Valletta, which contains buildings from the 16th century onwards, built on the plans of the architect Francesco Laparelli, who was an assistant of Michelangelo, and completed by Girolamo Cassel. Though in World War II, the city was partly damaged. Adjoining the bastions is the Victoria Gate. This was built in 1885, and by that time this was the only entrance to Valletta from the Grand Harbour. Next at sea level is the church dedicated to Lies, built in 1620 but rebuilt in 1740 by the French knights. Following is the old customs house, and high above you see more building with arches, the Upper Baracca Gardens. The origins of this place go back to 1661, when it was a private garden of the Italian knights. In 1824 it was opened as a public garden, and here one will find several statues, including one of Sir Winston Churchill and the successful sculpture of the Maltese sculptor Antonio Shortino. The garden was the gift of an 18th century knight, and it is one of the most frequently visited places of Valletta, and one can also enjoy the spectacular views of the Grand Harbour.
Look at that. Hey. You a sheep. This one.
On this side of the Grand Harbour, Floriana is met again. The quays along this part of the harbour are mainly used as a cruise liner terminal and industrial activities. The colourful warehouses at sea level were built in the mid-18th century under the patronage of Grandmaster Pinto. These were made available to traders and shipowners. Today it forms part of what is known as the Pinto Wharf, the backdrop of the new cruise liner terminal.
We have
The
seen
area
what
is
our
referred
eyes
to
have never
as the
seen.
Valletta Water. Recent development to accommodate both visitors and local clients with fine dining and dining. Here one can enjoy a drink or a meal and take in the view at the same time.
fishermen, they are in the sea and it's very cold. I've got a coat on, but I'm shivering. Wow, look at this one. Look at this one.
Megalith, Punic, and Roman remains indicate further that this part of the world is already a place of importance in the past. On Admiral Nelson's orders, Captain Alexander Ball and his fleet helped the Maltese to move out the French. Finally, in 1800, the French left our island and Malta was given to Lord Nelson. In 1840, our island became a British colony. In 1964, Malta became independent and republic in 1974. On 31st March 1979, the British terminated their military contact from Malta. The rebel was intentionally put on top of these heights So the bombs dropped from the enemy fighter planes will explode on this rebel, causing no damage to the ammunition store underneath.
Inaonekana huko